Don't shoot, don't shoot. I don't have a fever and I don't have difficulty breathing, but I've been traveling to United States of America. All right, I'm just researching before I arrive at the border crossing in Canada, because I'm telling you, like every hour there's something is happening. I just got an email from, oh, I see I'm wearing gloves, which I'm not sure. Well, they have this. They have like this thick padding. And so when I come in, I make sure I use this antibacterial soap. And I just rub them like this. And then I take them off. And I wash my hands. And I'm wearing these inside the truck for some reason. I don't know. So let me tell you about the reality of being a trucker during these times. So first of all, what do I have on board? I snapped these. I couldn't find any hand sanitizer, so I bought these baby wipes. Already used up one packet. I have 2 more, and I bought a bunch of this antibacterial soap. I bought this, and basically keep everything clean. You know, trying to avoid people, but you know, it's a bit disconcerting when I go inside the truck stop. I had to go because you know, I don't have an inverter now, and my laptop does not want to charge through the 12 volts, you know, but like this. Funny thing that this baby charger works as long as my laptop is off, you know, not just in the sleep mode, but completely shut down. And then I just plug it in, and it's very slow charging. It takes like 6 hours, or yeah, maybe like 4 hours to charge the laptop when I'm driving. So it works perfect, you know, like that's why I don't even bother with inverters, because I have time when I'm driving. I don't need the laptop, so it's charging slowly, and then when I'm stopping, I have a fully charged laptop, so I can watch movies, Netflix, right? When the laptop dies, I switch to my tablet, which of course the screen is not as big, but you know, that's the entertainment. Try to spend more time in the truck, you know, clean your hands. But from what I've seen so far, and of course when I got this, I used the baby wipes to wipe the cup, the lid, and I touched the lady touched my credit card. I wiped the credit card, I wiped my wallet, and then I washed, after I enter the truck stop, I wash my hands. Before I leave the truck stop, I wash my hands. And it was a bit funny. I went in to see if there's any medication, you know, that can help with your, you know, immune system, just to make your immune system stronger. And there was a guy in shorts and a t-shirt, like a huge guy, like who was, you know, I don't know, 6'3", 6'4", and he was just staring at the same section. And then I see he's grabbing something, and in the last moment before he closed his hand over it, it says anti-cough. But he wasn't coughing or anything. But the guy is buying an anti-cough medicine, you know. And it's been a bit cold, so I always have running nose in winter, so I'm not concerned about that. Overall, I feel fine. But I guess the only two things I saw with my own eyes that are testament to this crisis. I saw a guy wearing a mask once in 5 days. There was a guy walking very quickly through a truck stop somewhere in New Mexico, and he was wearing a blue surgical mask that the news say don't work. And so when I shut down yesterday, I started researching, you know, all these masks, and I have access to double the amount of information that you American guys have, because I speak 2 languages, right? And despite tensions between US and Russia, you know, Russia is a huge country with lots of scientists, you know, and they're much closer to China. And so I was reading online media from Russia, like Izvestia, you know, the biggest newspaper. It's all free, there's no subscription, and of course it's all propaganda, but there was some interesting tidbits of information about this which are different from what is said in US on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. And of course I'm driving, and it drives me crazy. As I'm driving, I'm being driven crazy by all these reports, you know, like it makes you paranoid, you know. They're not giving you any facts. They're just talking about who failed, who did what. Oh, we don't have enough respirators. But they're not telling you, like, a simple question, right? Like, how does this virus get inside your body, for example, right? And then I'm reading Russian Izvestia, and turns out that this coronavirus, which is just another variant of SARS. Remember, we had SARS, especially in Canada. It hit Toronto pretty bad. There was lots of dead people. SARS COVID, they call it SARS-CoV-2. Yeah, it's like the second version of the same virus. And so it turns out that this virus requires 2 protein molecules active inside your lungs. That you and me, we all have these protein molecules inside the lungs, you know, that absorb air and put it into your blood, right? So there's 2 specific protein molecules, and they have like ED something, V, you know, like 2 letters and then 2 or 3 numbers, and one of them ends in 147, I remember. So this coronavirus, very important, requires 2 of these molecules working in order to attach itself to them, and then it enters your blood, and then your goose is cooked. And they're saying that, you know, long-term damage to your lungs can ensue. But what's funny is that what's super interesting is that nobody's talking about in the American or Canadian media is that what they're doing in China, according to the Russian newspaper. So the Russian newspaper is reporting what's happening in China, and they say that Chinese scientists try to see what's going to happen if they block these 2 proteins inside your lungs, which this virus requires. Like, that's how this virus, it does not, like, you know, that's what's cool about this, that the virus, you would think that it attacks all your cells. No, it needs 2 specific cells. It's like a program, like software, that's written only for one specific cell, and there lies its weakness. If it could attack any of your cells, we'd be all dead. But this one requires that particular cell, I mean molecule, or 2 molecules, right? And again, one of them is called something 147. And so Chinese scientists, being smart and cheap, why cheap, you'll find out in a second, but they try to see if they can use any of the existing drugs which create antibodies that block that protein. And they said, okay, what's going to happen if we deactivate that protein, make it inactive, and then we try to infect that cell with coronavirus? And guess what? There was no infection. So coronavirus cannot infect your body if that protein molecule ending in 147 is inactive. And what makes it inactive is synthetic antibodies, which are present in long time tested, you know, and available drugs against 1, malaria, 2, pneumonia. That's what they said. So I did not hear about this over here. So that's like, actually, BBC, I'm also listening to BBC, which I find is much more entertaining and much more informative than all this Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, because they report with no political agenda, right? BBC doesn't care who wins the next election. And so BBC was talking to a guy, and he said there's two ways to beat this. There's vaccine, which takes like a year to develop, super difficult, takes long time, everybody will be dead. But there's a second way, again, that they don't mention in the media, and that's the same thing that Chinese are doing. So to see if any of the existing drugs, which are already tested, approved, and available for prescription, to see if any of the available drugs can help with this. And that's what they did not say any particulars. They were only saying that it takes 2 months to get the results, so it's much quicker when they test these drugs on existing patients. They say they need 2 months, and so they will know, let's say if they start today, they will know in 2 months if that particular drug works. But see, Russians already reporting that Chinese were successful, you know. And so that's what's basically life of a trucker during these times, is that's what's happening, is that you're listening, you're researching, right? And so after I saw that guy in the mask, and again, most people don't care. Like, people are walking around, I kind of wince, you know. I see somebody touching the dirty handle of a door, or, you know, they opening the door to the bathroom. Like, I cannot do that because I'm listening for 8 hours a day to to crisis reports on CNN and the BBC and sometimes Fox News and MSNBC and then Canadian CBS One or CBC One. Yeah, Canadian thing. And what I'm worried about now is that I might have issues entering Canada, right? Because now they have this travel advisory in Canada. They it's not like prohibited, but they say advisory, right? So they advise people to not to travel to foreign locations. And so of course Americans distrust anybody trying to enter US, and the same thing in Canada. Canadians distrust anybody who's entering Canada, you know. And I'm thinking about this. I was just talking to a guy. I thought maybe fear number one was, will my load be available? You know, because they shut down this expo 1 day early. But I talked to the guy. He says, yeah, just go there. They will get you. So, which reminds me, like, I basically go there where all the trucks are, I park, and they will come and get me. And so I have to make my bill of lading. I did not make that up yet. All I have the rate confirmation. And but no, the load is there. So, and the guy says, are you flatbed or low boy? I said low boy, because this big drill rig, it's a bunch of trucks, right? So some trucks take you know, boom sections, other trucks take the counterweight. I take the you know, the big mama, the drill rig itself. And I asked the guy if he knows the actual weight. I said, is it 105 or is it less? Oh, that sounds about right. Basically, no idea. But I looked up the booklet online, and the whole thing fully assembled is like 145,000 pounds. So that's why they're taking off all these I see a guy, like, monstrous truck. If he comes close, I'll show you guys. The guy has a 4-axle truck, Trident Jeep on the top, and then in the back he has a 6-axle booster. Basically, he has a 6-line trailer in the back, and the end of his main trailer is hooked up to the middle of that 6-axle platform. So basically he has like 3 plus 3, right? But he has 6 in a row in the back, and a massive flip box, you know, neck extension. And the truck stop was packed yesterday. No, next to me was I think it was a Western Star with a low boy 3 plus 2 in the back, also with a booster attached, and she was empty. It was a female driver, like in her 40s or 50s. You know, I did not talk to her, but she was next to me, and I see she left like 6 o'clock, you know. So the truck stop is empty pretty much. So let's see if that guy comes in. I'll show you that massive trailer. But I was trying to take pictures of those hills in the distance. Went to the freeway, but there's so much garbage there on the ground, and they are very far away, you know. But you can see, so the truck stop is empty. So this is petrol in Kingman, Arizona. And so yeah, I said, so what time do you want me there? The guy says, well, if you could be here at 8, that would be great. So perfect, that gives me more than enough time. I'm 2 hours away, so I'm gonna wake up at 5:15. I know I always need 45 minutes before I can leave, and then put on my gloves, go inside, you know, do the bathroom stuff. And but yeah, so I didn't see anything. Like, I saw one guy in the mask, right? And I'm the only guy wearing gloves. Nobody's wearing gloves anywhere. The only person I saw wearing gloves, like, you know, disposable gloves, was a girl working on hot dogs, like an employee of a truck store. But everybody else, like people that take your money, people that operate the cash register, the server now. So I had to go in the restaurant this morning. Again, I said, do you have any plugins that work? She says, oh, all of them work. And so I was sitting there having some breakfast, a bit unhealthy, with some potatoes and toast. And like, well, it's the end of the world, right? So we are allowed some leniency. And while I was eating, I was watching the status bar on my battery, and I left when it finally hit 100%. And I sat far away from everybody. Yeah, that's what, you know, another reality, that you see another guy walking towards you, you go like this, you know. And I saw other guys do the same thing. Like, everybody's a bit scared, but you don't see, like, everything is going on the same way as always, except that, so all the negative things are what we hear, you know, or read in the news. Like this expo closed one day early. Then I googled Las Vegas plus coronavirus, and they're closing casinos, you know, bars, restaurants. And then they're doing similar thing in Russia. Russia is prohibiting gathering of people, more than 50 people at a time. And they also, I think they're closing schools there as well. But yeah, it was very interesting about you know, to find out about this testing allegedly being done by Chinese researchers, you know. So I hope they can figure that out. But every day I'm taking I'm taking vitamins. I know for me what works is B1. Helps with eyesight for some reason. Probably I don't eat enough meat, because B1, that's in meat. So I feel much better when I eat B1 or take B1, and vitamin D, which of course you can get from sunshine. But, you know, I'm always inside the cab wearing clothes, so I find that D is super important. And then I take potassium, which is kali in Russian. Potassium, super important for your heart, because I read that, you know, when somebody drops dead from a heart attack and they open them up, they always see a very low content of potassium in the heart muscles, you know. And so it's super important for your heart activity, for my heart activity. I'm not giving any recommendations, I'm just saying what's working for me. So I'm taking B1, D, I'm taking potassium, and I'm taking I found something that helps, like there's some kind of a protein that helps your skin looks better, because I have these wrinkles from too much coffee, you know. And so yeah, and I was trying to see if there's anything over the counter that helps with the immune system, maybe like aspirin or something. I couldn't even find aspirin, but I got scared and left when the guy next to me was grabbing anti-cough medication. and also another thing, you know, on the, again, on the American media tells you that masks don't work. And then my Chinese friend that works for Landstar, and like I'm reading Russian reports, he's reading Chinese reports, and then we share, and this gives us a, you know, broader picture than what you can get if you're just inside US only watching, you know, American and listening to American media, right? And so he's saying that masks do work, and that's what they say in China. All Italy is in masks, right? You gotta wear a mask, doesn't matter if you're infected or not. But here, basically, his theory is that they're telling you not to wear a mask because there's no masks, right? There's no masks, no surgical masks, you know, there's nothing on Amazon, whatever, everything is sold out. That's why they tell you don't wear a mask, otherwise there'll be a panic, right? And so that gave me an idea. Wait a second, I'm pretty sure they do this in Asia because these masks can be expensive, right? So I Googled using the search words as DIY, do it yourself, how to make a mask at home. And I was surprised to see a bunch of results. But again, that's a part now of my research, right? Like they say they don't work. And I found a website which actually was comparing masks made out of different materials, like what you can find at home, to they didn't use the real mask as for comparison. You know, there's a heavy, I forgot what it's called, but there's a heavy duty mask specifically designed for virus protection. It's better than the surgical mask that everybody's wearing, that blue surgical mask, because that one stops, like it does stop it, but smaller percentage, right? And so they were saying that this coronavirus is 0.1 micron in size. And that's why you gotta have the material that can stop such a small particle, right? And so they were testing for that, and it turns out there's data on the internet about this. First of all, yes, they do work. Secondly, they give you an idea of what material to use, and they test them. They test them on the two criteria: stopping power, like how well they can stop such a small 0.1 micron virus, and two, breathability, because some of the materials, yeah, they stop the bad guys, but also they're hard to breathe through. You know, like one material surprisingly was a vacuum cleaner bag, believe it or not. So you can take a brand new bag from your vacuum cleaner and you can use it to make a mask. I'm not joking. And that one actually, it's like almost the same protection as what's offered by the surgical mask, you know. And I guess if you have some spare vacuum cleaner bags, you know, it's like free, right? As long as you know how to make a mask out of it. But in terms of breathability, it didn't rank very well. And so they came up to like a balance between breathability and stopping power, and two materials came on top. Surprisingly, that everybody has them in their home. Number one, pillowcases, right? So the same material, cotton or whatever. And the second one is 100% cotton t-shirts. And they also checked for how many layers are required, and they did not see any difference when, like, let's say you take the t-shirt and you fold it like 3 times, you know. And so I think when I'm in Las Vegas tomorrow, that's why I stopped here, because I'm 2 hours away. But of course, you know, all these guys are coming from all parts of the country, you know, truckers. This is a bit of a dangerous area because of all these travelers, right? But I'm trying to stay away, so now that my laptop is charged, I can stay inside the truck. Whereas before I would go inside, like there's a coffee shop inside, I would sit there, you know, because they have plugins and I have my own internet. Oh, there's Dunkin' Donuts, they might have their own internet. But the guy says, oh, there's a tower right there, and actually I can see it. But inside the store, Verizon was super slow. It's because, and there's a Verizon counter, they sell Verizon phones, and the guy says, yeah, there's a tower, but he says it doesn't get through when there's too many trucks around, you know. Let me see if I can show you. See, it's in the distance over there. Where is it? It's over that building, far in the distance, like in the middle of the frame. Huge tower. And so I can see it, right? So I got visual, I got line of sight. So here it should work fine inside the truck. So I can do more research on how to make how to get a homemade mask, because, you know, this is scary, you know. Like, I don't want to be in self-quarantine for 14 days. But and that's what I'm tracking. Another thing is I'm tracking CBSA, Canada Border Services Agency, which is like equivalent of CBP in the States, right? Canadian Customs, because they come up on Twitter, they put you know, all these news. And the recent one was that now they, you know, when you fly into Canada from a different country, you have to fill out a questionnaire, and it can be on the computer or on paper. And they say now they added 2 more questions, and one of them is why I started the movie like this, where I said don't shoot. So they added that question, which is, you know, of course, like pre-screening, right? So they added the question, are you experiencing any basically symptoms of coronavirus? Like, are you experiencing any fever, or what, shortness of breath, or, you know, stuff like that. And then if you answer yes, it automatically goes into the second screen where it says check this box to agree that you've been advised to self-quarantine for 14 days. So that's what they're doing in Canada. So basically, if you say you have a fever, they tell you go home and stay home, and don't go out, you know. But that's for passengers. I couldn't find anything for cargo, right? I'm a cargo operator. I'm bringing commercial cargo. I'm not mingling with other people. I'm staying in the truck. So it's a total different level of risk, right? I'm not going to the airport. I'm not sitting inside a crowded plane, right? I'm trying to limit my, you know, human contact as much as possible. But let me show you. Oh, and I got, let me show you that protein shake I got. So I showed this before, right? So, you know, I've been carrying them, not using them much, but I got this protein shake. Like, this one is half full. So all I need is water. And I can make my own protein shake, you know, which is very, very good. But what I've been doing about the masks, you know, anything out of cotton, right? I was thinking, you know, anything out of cotton. So soon you might see me loading like this, you know. You just use these. Yeah, so do like this. Put the neck like this, so it's a straight line. Of course, there's holes in here, but I feel like a Muslim woman. Now I cannot drink coffee. But anyway, so that's gonna be, might be the reality quite soon for many of the truckers, you know. Yeah, this is not comfortable, because you have to make it super tight. And it pushes on your nose. But that's the idea. So the idea is, actually, I have a duct tape, right? I have duct tape, and I have this. And this. Basically, when I was unloading that excavator, I hurt my leg pretty badly. I hit the bar inside the trailer, and so I bought these. I bought these sponges, and I was putting secret liquid on top of this, like basically making this moist with that secret liquid, and then using this to attach it to the wound on the leg. And after a few days, the wound is all good, you know, everything is tight, you know, no problems. But this is special medical like body color tape, you know, that stays on your skin. Maybe I can use this sponge, I don't know. Distributed by Johnson & Johnson. No? But anyway, that's what's happening. Basically, all this news inside US, they don't give you any facts. I only started feeling better when I started researching alternative news online, like Russian, and then a friend of mine is talking what they're saying in China. In US, it's all politically motivated, right? Republicans say there's no virus. Democrats say that we're all gonna die. You know, you cannot get the truth from American media, I'm afraid. So neither from Democrats like CNN, nor from Republicans like Fox News. You have to go outside of the country in search of the information. And that's what I urge you guys to do. Be safe. Please wear gloves, wash your hands, and don't touch the face of your loved one. Don't touch your face. And I'll catch you on the next one. One more thing. I'm just uploading the video into the computer to make a YouTube movie, and I just got an email from my friend in Alberta who says, hey, watch this. Here's a link to the live feed from the press conference in Canada, and there was a bunch of people like Trudeau, the vice president, our version of the president, was talking from his self-isolation because his wife is sick with coronavirus, and they declared a set of new measures. And so finally my fears of being denied entry into Canada disappeared, because they just announced that starting March 18th, which is what, March 18th at 1 minute past midnight. So basically, after midnight on Tuesday, nobody will be allowed to board airplanes heading to Canada if you are in Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, I think. But US and Mexico are still okay. US, Mexico, and somebody else. But basically, they're trying to limit exposure to people coming from across the ocean. And they were saying that everybody entering Canada will be, especially if they show symptoms, they'll be refused. Actually, if they show symptoms, they'll be denied the right to get on the plane, of course. But also they're insisting on this self-quarantine, but they say that for people coming from other countries, but they say who's exempt Basically, it looks like the US, like they call it trans-border travel, as opposed to international travel. So US, if you're coming from US, it's much easier than if you're coming from China. Basically, as of Tuesday, you will not be able to come into Canada from China or Africa or stuff like that, or from Europe. But US is a different matter, and also they're saying that they will treat favorably people whose job is to constantly travel across the border. And he starts the list, and he says airline crews, cruise and marine vessels, and I'm like, come on, give me truck drivers. And then he says, and truck drivers who deliver freight between US and Canada. Thank you. So finally they recognize that, you know, like, what am I supposed to do, right? This is my specialty, my job, as I always promote, as I'm a heavy haul operator specializing in moving heavy and oversized machinery and equipment between Canada and US. And you see they're saying that people that constantly move between US and Canada for their job, they will not be asked to self-quarantine as long as they don't show symptoms, right? So basically that's the last development that I just heard from the press conference being held in Canada. So, but yeah, they're advising against travel, but again, domestic travel inside Canada is not affected, but they're closing schools, so it's pretty much same measures as in the States, but at least they're recognizing truckers, seamen, and pilots, and, you know, and airplane crews. So I think we should be good. And that's the guy I mentioned in the video. So I saw him. So it's a Peterbilt Landstar plates. Turner Trucking. Oh, and he has a super single as a pusher, but I'm not sure why it's down. Maybe it's a tri-drive. So it's a Kalen Z-Bird. Let me check this out. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him good. So it's like one of those 100-ton trailers that I towed. So you see, it has a Tridem Jeep, and it has its own neck on it already. And then he has this kind of like a dolly 6-axle massive thing in the back there. And even empty, he needs a pilot, you know. I like his pipes. He had massive pipes. Looks like no mufflers. I call serious heavy haul. Bye bye.